Okay, we were talking in the last video about human dignity, freedom, personhood as the condition for the possibility of all morality. And this is just an a priori, axiomatic presupposition, an awareness we have. And this is what makes morality possible. Okay? And Kant thinks that his ethics of duty, or deontology, comes from the obligation we have once we recognize this. And again, this obligation is just there. It's just something assumed. And the moral life is therefore a life of duty. That is, a duty to the moral law or to the categorical imperative that says respect persons, or always treat human beings as ends and never merely as means, or don't use people. A colleague of mine calls this categorical imperative the please and thank you imperative, and it's something to think about. Why do we say please and thank you to people? But when, for example, when I go into Naples and the automatic door opens, I don't say thank you to the automatic door. Why? Because it's not a person. It's a thing. Okay? And so, but when I go to the cashier and he or she, swipes my card, I say thank you. And, oh, please, and it's a cordial and courteous interaction. Why? Because that's a person. And I'm obliged as a human being to respect that person because they have dignity and they have worth and they have value. Intrinsically, Kant thinks, okay? And another way of thinking about the categorical imperative is treat human beings as persons, not things, right? You cannot treat a human being as an it, but a you, right? Just imagine if somebody, how insulting it would be if someone said to you, what does it think? Or does it think, just treating a person as a thing is to reify them or thingify them. It's a terrible thing. It's very disrespectful. Why do we get so offended when people disrespect us and when they don't have respect for our person? Because it's a grave moral offense, because we're of infinite worth and we know this intuitively. Okay? So for Kant, the ethics of deontology is an ethics of duty, that is, of obligation to respect human beings as human beings and never treat them as things, always treat them as ends in themselves. So the moral life is a life of duty. Kant calls duty the necessity of action, this is his definition, the necessity of action out of respect for the law, or respect for persons. So duty is simply the necessity of action out of respect for persons. Okay? It's just what necessitates respect for person. That's all duty is. Duty is what demands my respect. And the categorical imperative, again, is that which demands, is the articulation of this demand. Namely, always treat human beings as ends and never merely as means. Okay? And so this moral ought that we're aware of, grounds all ethics. Okay? And Kant thinks that this respect we have for persons, this feeling of respect, in German the word is Achtung. There was a U2 album named after this called Achtung Baby. It means respect, or sometimes in the German military they would say Achtung, which means attention. And this is interesting that the word for attention and respect are the same word, that another human being demands my attention. They demand my respect, right? You can imagine you're talking with someone and they're not really paying attention to you. It's disrespectful in a certain sense when you're talking to them. They don't respect you, and there's a moral offense there. And so respect for Kant is the deepest moral sentiment. It's deeper than even compassion or love or kindness. Respect goes to the heart of what morality is about, because Kant says I can have compassion and I can have kindness and be loving, but if I don't respect somebody, it's all for naught. It's all worthless. Imagine someone being nice and compassionate and loving to you, but they don't respect you. It's not good enough, right? You want the respect. What we really demand from other people, because it's our right, is respect. Okay? So moral life, the life of duty, is a life lived out of respect for persons. That's what it means to be a good person for Kant. A good person for Kant means you respect other people no matter what they do, right? Because they have intrinsic value. We're going to talk more about this. But for Kant, what I want to emphasize in this video is what duty is. That duty is the necessity of action out of respect for persons, and respect is the deepest moral feeling you can have. He calls it a pure moral feeling. It's one that doesn't come from the world. It comes from seeing something metaphysical. When I look at another human being and I can sense that there is a person there, I'm seeing, if you think about what's a person, it's the same thing as what's dignity. It's a metaphysical idea, right? There's nothing physical about personhood. It's something metaphysical. And so when I sense that, when I sense the personhood of another individual metaphysically, the feeling that's elicited is respect. And so respect is the deepest moral sentiment, deeper than compassion and love, and it's the foundation of all ethics in a certain sense, respect for persons.